Okay, boys, got to get your act together today. We can't let these blue smurfs win. And you, Derek, you pull your weight or you're out the squad.
Hello everybody, the pep talk worked, the game was won. Now the Chaos Spaces Ultimate game I had was against an opponent part of my support bubble. We don't play very often obviously because of COVID, but we did manage to get a game in today and it was quite fun for me. It wasn't so much fun for my friend. Basically he laid down terrain that blocked, I would say, two-thirds of the centre of the board because we had a rule. We got the AdMech terrain. We had a rule you can't shoot through the gaps of the pillars. It stops arguing basically, but you can shoot through any deliberate opening or archway. So if you've got an area that's clearly designed to be driven under, you can shoot through that, but you can't shoot between the girders, right? Because you get all kinds of weird claims going on when you do that. So we simplify a lot to get rid of any disagreements. So anyhow, he managed to block off two-thirds of the thing, so he stopped the shooting match from taking place, which was unfortunate for him because he had quite a lot of long-range weapons that could have done a bit of damage. That meant there was three sides, there was could I see action. It was the bottom, the archway, and the other end. Now he could have concentrated his fire in the middle and been able to shoot both ways. Anything coming round the corner would have died immediately, but he didn't do that. Instead, he spread his troops all along the back. Now, I put a Land Raider down at the bottom, and I said to him, if I did that, that would influence you. I could manipulate where you put things simply by putting that Land Raider there. Then I took it off, put it away, right? And when it came to my turn, I put a Defiler there instead, knowing I'd just told him that I could manipulate it by putting something there. Usually save your best troops till last, you don't put them down first. Instead, I put all my best troops down straight away, right where I wanted him to see them. Right? It was literally me scaring the crap out of him before the game even started. I put down a Defiler, a Forge Fiend, a Venom Crawler and a Lord Discordant all in the same area with a Warpsmith and a Commander nearby, my Warlord. So it was like a castle, strongly the Lord Discordant. And when they went round the corner, they went round the corner in force. Now if he'd put his men in front of the main entrance so he could shoot both directions or straight ahead, it would have been one hell of a fight as he came on that corner, but he would have outgunned me. But he didn't do that. He spread his men right across the top. So I came round the bottom and just moved up his entire flank, destroying as I went. My Forge Fiend did quite a bit of damage shooting, but my Defiler, now its shooting I'd describe as mediocre, but he caused quite a lot of damage with the shooting and everything else. He definitely got his thing back, but he munched his way through two squads, and the Lord Discordant munched his way through another squad. Lord Discordant came across as a rather expensive toy, a way of getting a +1 on the hit roll for everything else, but on his own pretty useless. But when he got into combat, different story entirely, he did very well. So yeah, the Forge Fiends and the Lord Discordant and the Defilers, they came across as being really, really good in 9th edition. In 8th edition, they nerfed them quite considerably, so they really weren't worth taking, because if they moved, it was a 5 to hit. The best you could hope for, was a 3 or a 4, and you had to do quite a lot of cards for that. But in 9th edition, most of the things you needed to spend command points on have now gone. They're not in the game anymore, so you don't need to spend command points on. So you have tons of command points under 9 for nothing to spend them on. So I ended up spending mine on things like Grandfather's Blessing, where you can bring back a character from the dead. A bike. So when he took out a bike, I used Grandfather's Blessings to bring it back on, with one wound remaining. So he was dead chuffed with that, my opponent was. He really liked that. But yeah, anyhow, the Smash Captain didn't do too bad either. My Chaos Smash Captain is basically a Chaos Lord with a Thunder Armor and a jetpack. He went forward with the Raptors and the Warp Talons. I separate the Warp Talons and Raptors a little bit, But it ended up so the Talons got into range or something, and I attacked another assault squad from a hidden position. Right, so he couldn't shoot because he couldn't see me, because in Overwatch, standard shooting rules apply. It means you've got to be able to see what you're shooting at. And I placed mine behind some cover, so he couldn't see them before the charge, so I couldn't shoot. Then I, rolled the dice, he jumped over the terrain, engaged him in close combat. I did the same thing with the Defiler when he munched his way through two squads. And this Defiler started getting called a stealth spider. Because basically, even though it's a massive thing, nobody could see it. So yeah, that was quite amusing. But anyhow, the whole strategy works exactly as I expected. For my commander was so far back after my friend put all his men to one spot along the front, and my Defiler had eaten everything at this side, that my commander didn't see any action. He was just running as fast as he could to try and keep up. The whole game was over by turn 3. But it was quite an intense amount of shooting, most of it done by the demon engines, which quite frankly are very, very good now. Well, not very good, because you still hit on a 4+ without the Lord Discordant, but they're very good compared to what they used to be. I'm actually thinking of getting 2 more Forge Fiends, because I like Forge Fiends, and it's a good way of getting firepower. Plus, the 2 wounds is really good for getting rid of Primaris Marines. So yeah, it's a good idea, that. The Warp Talons, I've always liked Warp Talons with a -2, the save. Might not cause that many things with the Lightning Claws, but -2 on the save is always a good idea. The Smash Captain, though, he's there to destroy tanks, and quite frankly, he did the job he was supposed to do. He died in the last turn, but he did the job he was supposed to do. So I can't complain about that. The Land Raider and the Predator, they did absorb some fire, but most of the fire was directed towards the demon engines, so they got the equivalent of about 14 wounds spread out between them, because my opponent failed to focus on one particular target. He didn't destroy anything. The Land Raider never got a single shot at him. The Predator got hit once. The laser cannons between them whittled down all the dreadnoughts, so that worked. That's why I took them. Overall, it was going quite well, I'd say, across all fronts. The battle we did, we basically, my opponent picked a side, then I picked a side, and then we laid down 5 objectives. Then each of us removed one. We removed the one we thought the opponent might find easy to take, typically, leaving 3. The one in the middle stayed where it was, that's worth 2 points. And there's a command point either side, or objective either side, that's worth 1 point. Turn 1, my friend, the middle one, he got 2 points. I got one of the side ones, that was 1 point. So he was ahead on turn 1. But that was the last point he got of the game. After that, it was just chaos everywhere. I got every objective for the next 3 turns. So yeah, I won basically. It would have been 4 points, and 1 point for me, so 9 points total. But generally though, the strategy outlined in the previous video, the Chaos Army List January 2021, that worked. It worked exactly as supposed to. The bikes really did get their points back. They chewed through a whole set of speeders, and some other things. My mate's Vindicator went head to head with my Land Raider and lost. No surprise there. The Lemrus he had, that took a few shots, but it was really unlucky because I was getting quite good with my saves, to be honest. I pointed out to him actually that these demon engines will heal 1 wound a turn. And they're getting invulnerable save, and he was hitting it with melter guns, all kinds of stuff, and it was just save. So he didn't do too well there. But generally speaking though, the game went well. What I outlined in the video happened roughly the way it did, with the exception of the commander, who was too far back on one side to get in any action at all. Because quite frankly, like I said, the Defiler munched his way through everything at my side of the board. So there was nothing left except for the very, very far side of the board where my mate put his whirlwind. Now, I did enjoy it, but I did prepare for the game. I prepared the army list, picked all the bits I wanted, looked up any rules I wasn't sure about, and I got into the game and I knew what I was doing. I knew what the job of everything in the game was. The Chaos Space Marines are there for capturing objectives. They sat on 2 objectives for me. The third one was held by Demon Engines, so that wasn't going anywhere. So they did work out quite well. I used assault troops to actually to basically deny one of the objectives to the opponent early on. That stopped him getting any more points for the rest of the game. So yeah, it all worked out exactly as I planned it to, and quite frankly, it was a lot of fun. I did find myself having very few stratagems to use because the 8th edition stratagems are mostly obsolete now. So it was more traditional Marine versus Marine game than it would have been under 8th. But for me, the real stars of the game were the Demon Engines, not just one of them, all of them. They all did quite well. I do have a Mauler feed, but I didn't field that. Quite frankly, it would have probably saw a bit of action in this game, just munching its way up the side at the border instead of the Defiler, but the Defiler did really well on its own. The Lord Discordant really did well in close combat. It didn't do too badly with shooting, but he's only got an auto cannon version because it was supposed to be built for 8th edition, where all my Demon Engines stood back and just shot off. But I think another variation on my Demon Forge engines would have been Mauler Fiend, Venom Crawler and Defiler and Lord Discordant together. That would have worked as well, I think. So that's something to think about. Just so you know, I never play the same army twice or same army list twice. Missions are completely random. I do not know the missions before the game starts, neither does my opponent. We decide them before we start. So the armies we build aren't built for a specific mission. We have no time to prepare for it. We have to think on our feet and adapt. And as a consequence, right, things never quite go according to plan. But I've said this before, right, if you've got more guns facing your enemies, he's got facing back, you're going to win. And you should never underestimate the power of a bolt gun, especially when it's on a bike. So yeah, everything went according to plan. Quite pleased with it. I'll probably do some more videos on Demon Engines because quite frankly, I think they're back to what they should be now. They're not brilliant because it's still a 4+ to hit, but they're good enough to use again. So we'll probably do some more videos focusing on them and talk about ideal numbers, reasons for taking them, what you hope to achieve, things like that. Maybe some variety according to, like, if you're a Khorne side, which ones would you take? You know, if you were like Iron Warriors, which ones would you take? Maybe go into that kind of detail. But for now, that's it. I'm out of here. It was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. And don't forget, the video for the army list went live at 12 o'clock this afternoon, and it's already up and already out. So you can see the army list in the previous video. It's Chaos Army List January 2021. You can see the army I'm talking about. See you later.